Ladies, have you been wanting to make a change, but you don't feel ready? Here's the truth. Readiness is a lie. The model of confidence for women is backward, and we need to flip it. I'm Cara Moeller Poppitt, author of a new book, Big Freaking Change. After coaching thousands of women, I discovered action gives us confidence, not the other way around. If we wait to feel ready, we'll wait forever. So if you're ready to get unstuck and step into the life you've always dreamed about, visit bigfreakingchange.com right now and order your copy. Welcome to the Big Freaking Change podcast, where we dive deep into the stories of those who took bold action, embraced uncertainty, and transformed their lives without ever feeling ready. I'm your host, Cara Moeller Poppitt, author of The Big Freaking Change and the creator of the Get Unstuck Cycle of Change model. Each week, we'll sit down with remarkable individuals who have taken bold steps in their lives, personally and professionally, to make meaningful change. Whether you're seeking a career shift, personal growth, or a boost in confidence, our goal is to inspire you to stop waiting and start taking action. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Big Freaking Change. I'm your host, Cara Moeller Poppitt, and today I'm delighted to be here with Jason Everett.
What up, Cara? Sorry, I had to jump in and just say hi. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. I love your energy. I know everyone knows you because you have positive energy and you play full out. So I'm just going to read your bio so everyone knows the brilliance that you bring today. So Jason, his journey is in the beauty industry, was not a typical fashion. He's not your typical salon expert. In fact, Jason would be the first to tell you not to let him near your hair with scissors. Accurate. But when it comes to teaching salon owners how to be amazing at what they do, he's the guy you want. From a young age, Jason was all about business. Growing up around family-run shops, from furniture to bridal stores, he learned the ropes of running successful businesses. Even though regular school classes weren't his cup of tea, Jason was always eager to use what he learned in real life, especially when it came to landing and performing. Jason made a big splash by turning a small event company's modest earnings into a whooping $1.7 million in just 4 years. Whoop. Not bad, not too shabby. This remarkable growth didn't go unnoticed. Jason began working with big names like Massage Envy and Redken, where he brought a unique mix of fun and learning that changed the game. His methods led to huge increase in sales that changed the way people thought about training in his field. As one of the brains behind the High Performance Salon Academy, Jason combines personal growth with smart business tips. He doesn't just talk theory, he offers practical advice that he already helped so many salon owners and their teams improve big time. He's also passionate about creating a community of empowered salon leaders who are ready for anything and can do great things. He's working hard to elevate the beauty industry, making sure salon owners are prepared for the future and leading the way in setting new trends. So Jason, welcome. Welcome.
Sorry, I jumped in before my welcome. What I would just say is I haven't heard that bio before. I'm like, that's a pretty good one. I like that one. That's a new one to me. And in a good way. All those things are factual, but yeah, it's just really interesting to be in that spot and just to be on the show. So thank you for having me on. I appreciate being here. I will do my best to pour out value and make sure this podcast is world-class for you. Thanks for having me on. And thanks for doing the podcast, man. This is a big topic for people. I think this is the subject that needs to be talked about.
Thank you. So Jason, let's start off with you telling me a big freaking change that you made when you did not feel ready. So talk to me about that.
All of them, all the big freaking changes. Here, I'll tell you a fun one. I'll tell you when I got fired. That was a big freaking change that I didn't plan for. I got fired. So this is a funny story. So I'd worked in business and in sales for a really long time. And I was working for a radio station here in Sacramento. And I had done a bunch of things, worked for this radio group. And I had left a job. I got recruited to go to this other company. And then within the first month of me getting recruited, my manager quit. So this manager hired me on and then he quit to go to another job. So I got brought in with this new manager who hated me. He hated me. I don't know what it was. He just didn't like, I don't know, my vibe, my whatever. Anyway, so he was trying to get rid of me forever. And a couple months into him working with me, he was yell at me every week. And then one day I walked into his office to complain about something. He's like, hey, you don't need to worry about complaining. Today's your last day. And I was like, what? And I was like, oh, okay, well, this is the worst job I've ever had, so I think I'm good. And so I left that day, but that was honestly one of the most challenging days in my life because I had been trying to start a business. This is what's interesting. I'd been trying to start a business on my own, been doing a little side hustles and some little things over here and like making it happen. And it was honestly this big giant wake up call for me to make a change. And like it put me into a tailspin for like a couple of days. And I was like, what should I do? Should I do this? Should I do that? And it gave me my first opportunity to really give a go at running a business full time. And truth be told, I tried to make running a business for about 6 months, and I made some money, lost a bunch of money, made some money, lost a bunch of money, and got really panicky. And it's funny, you said in my bio story, like I helped this company make $1.7 million in a couple of years. And what's funny is that company that hired me on, I was struggling with my own business owner journey. And this guy had been trying to hire me for years. And one day he called me up. He's like, are you ready to work for me? And at that point, I was 6 months into running a business. I'd had like 4 businesses in 6 months that were kind of making money. And I was like, fine, I'll come work for you part-time and I'll just see how it goes. And I ended up turning their $300,000 company into a $1.7 million company, being their only sales rep. And it was very helpful. I worked there for 5 years, and that was the last job I ever had before I ran this company 17 years ago. And it was that the power of getting fired that actually prompted me to make that change. So it wasn't something I invited by any means,
Yeah.
but it was something that I got accomplished because of the forced change. I think a lot of change comes forced, to be honest.
Yeah, yeah. In my book, I talk about change happening to you,
Yeah.
that you don't
I mean,
have, input, and then there's
yes.
intentional change. So in your case,
That was a unintentional change, but I don't know
yeah.
if you believe in God, the spirit, the universe. I would say God, but like I
Yes.
believe that if you don't change, God will change you. And so it's
Mm,
one of those things where you just go, okay, if you're like, okay, I think I'm okay, I think I'm okay, I think I'm okay, and it's like he taps you on the shoulder and then he kind of shoves you a little bit and then he gives you a 2x4 to the back of the head and then it's like a Mack truck, and it's like, hey, wake up, it's time to change. And like honestly, if I'm really verifying of my life, I have been a little slow to change, and then I get a giant tap on the shoulder or a knock in the back of the head and it forces me to change because maybe I'm a little slow on the uptake, but I don't like change as a natural human being. So I've had to go
mhm,
out of my way to seek out change that's my own creation in order to make some
mhm.
cool things happen. So I've gone out of my way to find cool ways to change.
I love that. Jason, I want to kind of pick your brain on, I know you do a lot of human potential and you push
Sure.
people
Oh
to their
yeah.
limits,
Oh man.
and you
Just a
see
few.
just a few. You
Yeah.
make people walk on fire, the cold baths, all of the things.
Yes.
But
All the
talk to
things.
me about what you notice when someone realizes that they have more potential in them
Yeah.
and you unleash that.
Yeah, so real quick, I just want to say, like every entrepreneur in the world that's like on Instagram is like, watch me do my ice bath. They're all doing their ice baths and their cold plunges and all that stuff. And like those are cool things. And don't get me wrong, they're really challenging. I think ice baths are one of the hardest things you can do. But my own unique brand of that is I take people on these once in a lifetime bucket list style adventure trips, and we like go and fly stunt planes and shoot each other down out of the sky, or like drive tanks and crush cars. And I do things that are like things you might not even know
Next
you could go
level.
do. Yeah, and that's why I say like I also do ice baths and fire walks, but it's really funny when I talk to people and I'm like, believe it or not, ice baths and fire walks are actually tame compared to most of the stuff that I do. The last thing I was supposed to do, and it actually got canceled for safety reasons, we were supposed to go wing walking, where you get on a biplane and you get out on the wing and they literally do aerial acrobatics with you on the like standing on the wing, not in the
Wow.
seat. And like I was supposed to do that, and the FAA shut it down this last year, not because they had any issues. It wasn't an issue with that, but it's because they just deemed it to be too dangerous. They've been running it for 5 years and they couldn't do it. But the reason why I say that is like, who are the crazy bastards that go on stuff like that with me? They're the people that go, I'm ready to push my limits and see what I'm capable of. So my own personal mission is like Jason Everett, the human being, to help others see what they're truly capable of. Okay, like that's my own personal mission. And so the reason why I want to do that is because I want to know what I'm capable of. And I heard a long time ago, Zig Ziglar said, if you want to help people, if you want to help yourself get what you want, you got to help other people get what they want. And I said, well, if I help other people see their boundary and I can help them push to their limit, well, who would I need to be to push to my limit? And so I do things that are so far out of most people's comfort zones, they think I'm nuts. And it's incredible because the more of those kind of things that I do, the less nuts I feel. And it's an incredible experience because now all of a sudden the things that I thought were scary are not scary anymore.
That's right. And when you talk about comfort zone, like I'm assuming you just don't have a comfort zone.
No, I do. I love my comfort zone. And that's what's crazy is like, I love my comfort zone. And like, okay, so let me give you an example. The first time I went skydiving, I've only been a couple times, but and like, I'm not one of those crazy people who like has a squirrel suit or something. That's not me. The first time I went skydiving, it was way outside my comfort zone. I kind of had a realization is that I wouldn't have like booked myself for a skydiving trip, but one of my friends said, "Hey, I'm going skydiving. Would you like to come?" And through proxy, through invitation, I was like, "Sure." And what I realized at that moment is like there's a lot of things that if you're around the right people, you could be pushed to do something you wouldn't normally do.
Yes.
And so think of it like we've all been to a lake before and like jumped off a tall rock and our friend was like, "You can do it." And like that extra little motivation from somebody else believing in you
Yeah.
is what you need to take that step. And I love that. That's my favorite place to come from is supporting and encouraging. And maybe it's because I'm a big brother. And I mean that like literally and kind of in a metaphoric title sense is I've done Big Brothers Big Sisters through Big Brothers
Mm.
Big Sisters as an organization, but I'm also a big brother to a little brother. I have a little brother and a little sister. They're not little anymore, but you know what I'm saying. I'm the oldest, and through Big Brothers Big Sisters, I was able to mentor somebody and help him push his boundaries. And I just kind of live in that space of like, how do I support and encourage others like a big
Yes.
brother? Right? Like if I'm your big brother that can help you do some incredible things, what would it be like if you had somebody supporting and encouraging you who's been there before and been through some of that just has a little bit of extra knowledge or just a little bit of crazy encouragement to help you do something you've never done before? And that's how I like to operate from is that place.
Yeah, it's a great place. Jason, you may not know this about me. Not only can I dance, but I also did skydiving in
You
Switzerland.
did
One jump.
one job. Will you do it again?
I think it's kind of a one and
Oh,
done
one and
for me.
done. Would you come wing walking with me if I got the chance to go?
That's a little next
Too
level.
far?
Like
Okay.
still invite me, like
All
maybe,
right. I
with
mean, I am going up to Alaska and taking a helicopter out to a glacier and doing a dog sled around a glacier and doing ice cave exploration in June. You want to come in June?
June. June's a little tight
Oh,
for
June.
me.
Sorry, June's a little tough. I might die in an iceberg. Yes, but I'm just saying, like all of those things
Yeah,
are.
yeah.
I'm just saying those are the kind of things I live for, and I think
Yes.
it's when you do things like that, though, don't you feel different as a human being when you do it?
I will remember that moment for my
Of
whole life,
course.
right?
There.
Because you're
Yes.
the adrenaline and then you have self-doubt and then you're at the tip and the guy's like, "Okay, you ready?" I'm like, "I'm not ready." Then you have second guessing and then the moment you jump off and my cheeks are flapping and I'm like, "Holy crap." You think you're going to die because you got
Yeah,
the free
I didn't say
fall.
crap. I said much dirtier words than that. But
Yeah,
but yes, here's the deal. Those are things, and here's how I look at it. Can I tell you a funny story?
do it.
When my wife and I got married, we started a tradition that every year on our anniversary, we got married in January. So it's at the end of a year and the beginning of another one. So January 19th, we got married. And we started a tradition where we'd write down every year all of our favorite moments in a book. And we'd sit down and we'd have dinner. We went to Italy for our honeymoon. So we sit down, we have an Italian dinner somewhere, and we write down all our favorite things for the year. And so we'd write down all the things that we did. And what we realized is that we were writing down these moments that stood out to us. And we're like, oh, when I went skydiving, that was crazy. Or, oh, when I did this, that was nuts. Or, oh, when I did this. And she's not that adventurous, by the way. She's not one of those skydiving crazy people. She's never done it, probably never will. But the moments that we realized at the end of the year we cherished the most, we started focusing on.
Mm,
And so what started happening is we started focusing on those moments that exactly what you said. A skydive, in all reality of how much time it takes 30 to 45 minutes. And it changes you for the rest of your life.
mhm.
And so what we realized is by writing it down, the first year we did it, we just had our anniversary, so I was looking at it. The first year we wrote 5 things down. There were 5 really significant things. The next year we wrote 10 down. The next year it was 25. The next year it was 40. The next year it was 60. And like all of a sudden we realized we made our life about the moments that we significantly cared about the most and that made the biggest impression on us and created the greatest change in our lives. And so what starts to happen is when you get focused on what you want to or who you want to become, and you realize that the things that you do help you become who you want to be, it changes your biochemistry to start seeking
Yes.
out those opportunities. And you just go, well, what can I do to push my limits? And to your point, you're like, okay, maybe I check the box on skydiving limit push. Great. I don't want to be a free diver. I don't want to do a squirrel suit. I don't want to whatever. But like now you know what you're capable of on something
Yes.
else. And I would say, where else would you like to push yourself? I'm not really asking you as a question for the podcast, but I mean, like, then you get to ask the question, where else can I push myself that I feel like I have a boundary or a border that's stopping me from growing? Because the more of those that you can push past, you just think anything's possible. And who do you want
Yes.
to be? Somebody that thinks anything is possible or somebody that thinks there's a lot of boundaries and borders?
I really appreciate that comment. And I think from a young age growing up, my parents would often say, if we had a crazy idea, they would say, okay, figure out how you're going to make it happen. And my sister and I kind of joke around that like we don't take no for an answer because we're like, well, what else is possible? Like, could we do this? Is this possible? and you think differently. And I want my children to think about possibilities rather than constraint. I want them to expand, and I want them to, step in their power and not see limitation. I want them to see possibilities.
Yeah, me too. My kids are limit pushers, crazy enough. I wonder why. And I have some funny things to tell you about that too, if you want to know more about
Yeah,
that.
yeah, go for it. The best limit. What's the best limit your children have pushed?
Well, so two things. I want to tell you, I'm going to rewind back and say, a lot of people are like, oh, it's your kids. They're crazy. Okay, yes, sort of. But my kids are both very brave. I have two boys. They're 8 and 11. And what's really interesting is I had somebody ask me one day, we were at a pool party, and they were like, Jason, how do you get your kids to do these things? Because like, what do you tell them and what do you do for them? And how does it work? And I was like, I actually don't, because they're like, do you push them? Do you like, oh, you can do it, blah, blah, blah. And what's really interesting is that's not actually what I do at all. I mean, I support and encourage, but I don't force them to. Number one, I don't force them to do anything they don't want to do. There's no forcing. Okay, like if they want to get in the pool, I don't push them in the pool or something random. Like we have a no push policy, and what I mean by that is I will never get them to do something they don't want to do, but I will encourage the hell out of them to get them to want to do it.
Yes.
And it's really fascinating because some of my friends are like, oh, my kids won't do this, they won't do that. And your kids are so brave, they're so bold. And I'm like, I don't push them. I just, they watch my example constantly. They always watch me and they know I push my limits. Like my son, he had his birthday party, his 11th birthday party. And he's like, Dad, can you eat fire for my friends? They think that's really cool. And I was like, I don't know. I don't really want to show them how to do that because a bunch of 11-year-olds seeing that you can eat fire is probably not a good idea. So I do it under very controlled circumstances. Like that's a really important thing that I've just noticed is a lot of people try and they're like, no, do it. And they just like push. And if my kids are like, no, I'm not ready. And they'll tell me, I'm not ready, Dad. And I'm like, cool, no problem. I got you. When you're ready, I'm here for you. And that's
Yes.
a really important distinction because I think a lot of people think the more they push, the more they can get that to happen. But getting people out of it is a game of pulling, not a game of pushing. And what I mean by pulling is you
Mm,
pull them with your energy, you pull them with who you are. And by the way, that translates to business too. I
yes.
can't tell my team, you can do it, you can do it, you can do it. I just got to be like, hey, when you're ready, I'm here to support you. When you're ready to take that step, like I'm here for you. And they're like, wow, why are you not pushing me? Because think about that. If I walked up to you and pushed you, you'd push
Hmm.
right back. There's resistance that comes with pushing.
Yeah.
But if I come up and I'm like, hey, come this way, and I pull you, you're like, yeah, where are we going? Like it's a
Hmm.
very different experience. And so limit pushing experience. I'm with my son. I'm down in New Zealand earlier this year, and New Zealand's known for like the craziest adventures on planet Earth. And we're in Auckland, New Zealand, and we've been on a trip to 7 different cities, and this is like stop 6 or something. And we've been going up to every tower in every city to look at the view. Like in every city we went to in Australia, all the views. We had dinner at a restaurant at the top of a tower the night before at a different city. And so we're in the city. We go there, and my kids know this like adventure capital of the world, and they're like, Dad, we're not doing anything crazy here in New Zealand. Don't ask me. I'm not going to do it. I'm like, no problem. All good. If you guys want to do something cool, let me know. So we get to the world's or the tallest tower in all of New Zealand, and it's in Auckland, and it says jump off the building because the home of bungee jumping, right? So go jump off the tallest tower, and it's like 88 stories tall, and you can jump off the tower in New Zealand. And my son looks at me, and I go, how old do you have to be to jump off the tower? And they go, you have to be 10. And my son looks at me and goes, Dad, I'm 10. And I go, yeah, yes, you are. And he goes, okay, look, Dad, one time I'm going to jump off this building. And I don't want you to ask me if I'm serious, because I am serious. Don't ask me again. I will do it. And I was like, what'd you just say? He's like, yeah, I want to jump off this building. And my wife freaks out and she's
Yeah.
like, what did you just say to my son? And he's like, I'm going to jump off the building. He's like, Dad and I are going to jump off the building. And I'm like, I don't even know if I want to jump off the building. And my wife goes, okay. And we walk over, get suited up, and go jump off the building. And like, there's a whole story that goes around that if you want the whole story. But like, that's a brave moment. And my son had a lot of lessons for me on that one in reverse, actually. And it just blew my mind because that's the kind of kid he is that just would be willing to do something like that. Not because I brought it up, because he did. But I created the right
Hmm.
environment and circumstance for him to be brave in.
Yes, and I always talk about the importance of having courage. Like your son feels very courageous, right? Like he's just gonna go for it.
So my son and I are getting strapped in, and we're strapped in. We're getting our like gear on. You have to put this like suit on, and they have to like put all these straps like on your body so you can get hooked into a clip and jump off this building, right? As we're doing it, I'm thinking, I don't know that I was going to do this. Like I actually didn't want to jump off. They had the thing you could walk around the outside and like lean over the edge and look down. I thought that was going to be scary enough, and I thought maybe he would do that, but he wanted to jump off the building. Okay. And so we're getting strapped in. We go up to the top, and like I said, I was just kind of doing it because he asked, and I'm like, sure,
Hmm.
if he's going to be brave, of course I'll be brave. And we get to the top, and I go, buddy, how you doing? On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being you're freaking out, and 1 being you're okay. How are you? And he goes, I'm like a 4. I was like, a 4? We're jumping off a building. I said, Dad's like a 9. Dad's a 9 or a 10. And he's like, what? And he looks at me and he goes, Dad, you only get bravery after you do something hard. And I was like,
Boom.
screw you for being a 10-year-old. Like, apparently you've been listening. You know what I mean? Like, and he
Yes.
goes, you only, he's like, it just has to do with that courage, and saying that courage gets created when you do something that scares you and you take a step anyway.
Yes.
And so in my body, and by the way, this is how my body works when I do these crazy things. I really don't think that much about it until like seconds before we do it. Like I remember in skydiving, I was fine. The car ride down, I had to drive like 3 hours to go to this place in Monterey to go skydiving. 3 hours down, no problem. We had to wait all day. It was like 6 hours we had to wait. And we took the last planes. We had a camera team and all this stuff. And like, I remember being totally fine. Even on the plane, we're like, woo, we're going. This is gonna be awesome. I'm in the plane, like, it's good. I'm a crazy person. And I'm like, woo, woo. And we get in the plane, we start going up. And then like about halfway up, it gets real quiet in the plane, and all the jumpers get serious. They're like, all right, it's go time. And they like, they're putting all their stuff, they're cinching up all their things, and it's real quiet. And all you hear is the plane. And you can see it in the video. And everybody's like, oh my God, we're jumping out of this
doing
plane.
it.
And like that moment, like that's when I get panicky. I'm like, what did I sign up for? My heart starts going crazy. I'm like, whose idea was this? Yours. Oh my God. Right. And that same thing happened when we were on that tower. Is like, we're getting up there. I'm watching them, like, and they're doing all the final preparation. I'm like, this is real. And I don't know, maybe my brain just doesn't kick in until the end. But it's like, this is real. And literally I'm standing on the edge of this thing with my toes sticking out the edge. And they're like, okay, lean forward. And then on 3, you're going to jump. And I'm like, ah. And then I jump off the things that my son wanted me to go first, of course. Right. So I jump off the thing, go down to the bottom. And I survive. Obviously, I'm still here. Get down on the bottom. My wife gives me this giant hug. My other son, who's 7, is down on the bottom at the time. And anyway, he gives me this giant hug. And I'm like, I don't know if Avon's going to do it. Like, I know he's acting brave up there, but we'll see what happens. And I'm like, so how often do kids not go? I'm asking the guy, how often do kids not go? And the guy at the bottom, like, he goes, oh, who's he up there with? I'm like, Keanu or something. Of course, his name's Keanu in New Zealand. So Keanu. And he goes, Keanu gets all the kids to jump. He'll be jumping in like 1 minute. And I'm like, shut up. So I turn around and watch my son off the thing, comes to the ground. He's like, just like losing his mind. He's like, I did it, Dad. I did it. Gives me the biggest hug ever. And he's like, I'm not doing any more crazy things. That's my only one of the trip. And I'm like, I didn't even expect that. And I just think when you look at bravery like that, and you look at the action despite fear.
Yes.
Now, for a kid, they have a lot less to fear. Adults have a lot to fear. I'm thinking about my wife, my kids, my mortgage, my business, I had all that stuff. My 10-year-old, my 7-year-old, they're like, no, I'll leave my stuffed animals behind, if they even consider that. You know what I mean? Like, what are they worried about? But I think the goal is, if you train and condition yourself to constantly take actions that push you outside your comfort zone, you get out of your comfort zone into what's called the growth zone. You have to go, but here's what's crazy. You go from the comfort zone into the fear zone. And the fear zone, you have to push through to get to the growth zone. And then you get to the learning zone, and you keep going. And the only way you do that is you expand your comfort zone. So now, to your point, what's comfortable for me now, like after I've flown some stunt planes or whatever, I'm like, whatever, what do you got? Like now it's a little crazy. That's why I was willing to do wing walking, because we were like, that's crazy. I'm like, yeah, but compared to what I've already done, I've already been in the stunt plane and done all the aerials. So like getting out of the wings, not that bad. Like it's just, you kind of get to that
Your
level.
perspective shifts. Yeah.
And I don't think it's like, I don't have a death wish or anything like that. I just want to see every part of life that I can experience. And if there's a way for me to experience it safely, like I don't make up new things to do that nobody's done. I go with professional guides and experienced people to go do incredible things that other people have already done. That's it. And we do that every day. Like driving your car is scary. It's just not scary because people do it every day.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. When you step outside into the unknown and your brain is trying to keep you safe, there's a lot of emotion. There's this moment of like, do I go or do I back down? What shows up when people are really fearful? So we're talking about
all their insecurities, every single insecurity.
And how do you support that? You call it out, you acknowledge it. What's your method?
One of my favorite tips I ever had is from a friend of mine named Blair Singer. And he talked about how do you handle adversity and how do you handle fear? And he said, his biggest tip that I've used over and over again, I used it when I went skydiving, is you have to celebrate through fear. Yes. And what I've told my son, he told me this on the roof. He reminded me this tip as well. He was giving me life coaching advice back to me on the roof of this giant building. He said, Dad, if you're scared, because I told him, I'm like, I'm a 9-10, buddy. And he said, just remember, he said, your body can't tell the difference between excitement and fear.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, thanks for schooling me again, little man. And it was just one of those things that I was like, yep, you're right. And so if you're in that position that you're feeling fearful, if you celebrate, you actually override the fear and turn it into celebration, because you still get the same levels of cortisol, which is your stress response from your body, but it can be positive stress or negative stress depending on how you file it away. When you're about to ask somebody out on a date, or you're going to try a new business, or you're going to do something way outside your comfort zone, you're going to have that stress. Also, right before you kick the winning goal in a soccer game or something, you're going to feel that stress. So make it feel like it's that time that you win. So if you want to override it, make it feel like you're already winning, you celebrate through the scared. And so if you can celebrate through the scared, it can completely change the dynamic of how you look at stress. And what you'll do is you'll actually condition your body to look for those moments, celebrate through them, and carry through them very quickly with very little resistance if you understand how to celebrate through.
So how do you celebrate them? Like, I'm just thinking of
I'm a
this.
crazy person. I literally, on the plane, I'm like, let's go. Ah! Like I literally, that's legit what I do. And when I was on the plane, remember I was telling you I was going up on the plane and it started to get real quiet. I stopped celebrating. People got real serious. Like, I went off, I was in Moab, and we went, I have a million stories, but like we were in Moab and we did a big giant rope swing underneath those arches in Moab. That was amazing, by the way. The guy who took us, his name was Sketchy Andy. Super funny. Sketchy Andy. But he had this funny joke. He was Sketchy Andy because he would draw. He was an artist.
Okay.
And so he was Sketchy Andy, but he also does crazy adventure things. So he had a joke. Everybody calls me Sketchy Andy. And he said, however, when I'm with you guys today, I will be Responsible Andrew.
Yes.
And he said, hey, just so you know, Responsible Andrew is taking care of you today. Sketchy Andy is what I do on my own on the weekends. With you guys, Responsible Andrew versus Sketchy Andy. And I bring that up with you because when you're celebrating through things and you're putting it together, you got to decide, are you Responsible Andrew or are you Sketchy Andy? And like Sketchy Andy takes risks. Responsible Andrew does not. And I think what part of that is switching your brain on to say, what's an allowable risk and what am I willing to take? And what's, there's one of my favorite quotes too. I should give you this one. There's a really incredible quote. Let's see if I can look it up real quick. So Will Smith, he was in a movie called After Earth. And what he talks about is the difference between fear and danger. So check this out. Fear is not real. The only place that fear can exist is in our thoughts of the future. It is a product of our imagination, causing us to fear things that do not at present and may not ever exist. That is near insanity. Now, what's interesting is he goes on to say in that quote, if I can find it, he said, danger is real, but fear is a choice. Boom! That's like the best line ever. I didn't write it. It's from a movie. But like I live by that. Is like, am I choosing to be scared because I'm fearful? Or is there actual danger here? If I'm doing something that's been done by 2,000 people and it's completely safe and been certified and they have insurance for it, probably not that actual dangerous. If I'm out there with some buddies and we like grabbed a rope from the garage and I want to jump off the building and see if it works, that's dangerous.
That's right.
So
I'm glad you specified.
Yeah, I try to do things that are cause fear but are not dangerous. And that's a distinction, man.
Yes.
And by the way, in business, you do the same thing. You can take calculated risks.
Yes.
You know, and the same thing with cars. We've created cars so that it is a scary thing to drive a car at 60, 70, 80 miles an hour down the road next to other cars doing the exact same thing, and you have no idea who's in the car next to you. But we do things to make them less dangerous by putting airbags in them and seatbelts and road rules and all that stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean. Jason, talk to me about your best tips when someone's trying to override their fear and step out, whether it's, changing jobs, changing cities, changing relationships, a financial future. Like there's so many different types of change. But what?
Tips.
Yeah, best tips.
Can I give you a good one?
Yeah, give me a good one.
Trust your gut. Don't ask advice.
Oh, trust your gut.
Trust your gut.
Solid.
Don't ask for advice. You have a tendency when you're about to make a big choice to ask your friends, family, coworkers, whatever, should I take this risk? Their number one job is to protect you. And so they will do whatever it takes to protect you from getting hurt. So if you're somebody who wants to push a big boundary and a big barrier, don't expect people to celebrate your own thing. And what I would say is that very often pushing boundaries is a solo activity. And I don't mean don't do it with a group. Maybe be around some other people that push their boundaries. But I've had to do that. Is when I call my parents and go, hey, do you guys think I should take this giant risk? They're like, I don't know, sweetheart. Like, that's not the best thing. And I'm like, well, because they're not very risky. My parents aren't risky people. But when I surround myself with other people willing to take a risk, they're like, let's go, let's do it. Like, I want to surround myself in business and in life and in everything that I do with other people who will support and encourage me. And that's why I take people on those adventure trips, because I love being around those other people who are pushing their boundaries. And I'm like, hey, can I get 10 people who want to push their boundaries, come push boundaries with me? And we will encourage each other. And I'll tell you, like, I am not a drug addict, but if I was addicted to a drug, it would be encouragement. And I mean that because you can watch my face in some of the videos, and they're on YouTube. You search High Octane Adventures. But if you watch my face, every time there's a clip of somebody else winning, I'm losing my god dang mind.
Yes.
And I'm like, yes! And I mean it because I
Yeah.
literally on the inside, the core of my being is celebrating so hard to watch somebody do something that they're pushing themselves. Like there's something wired in me, wrong or right, that just says if somebody's winning and it's because I encourage them in some way,
Yeah.
shoot me now, I'm good. I can retire, I can leave the game, I can exit this earth, I'm good. Because I
It's
know
because
that's what I'm
you're,
here to do.
yeah, because you're in service, you're in your purpose,
100%. That's what I
right? And
love
you
doing.
help
Yes,
people elevate.
completely.
It's wonderful. Jason, where can everyone find you and all of the amazing things you're doing?
Yeah, I mean, you can search based on any social at Jason Everett, Everett. You can just track me down that way. You can go to jasoneverett.com, track me down. But I don't know, go find some funny videos on TikTok or Instagram or I don't know, something like that. Hope we can hang out. And if you listen to this podcast, it would be amazing. If you just sent me a message to say podcast, that you actually listened to this podcast and hung out with Cara and I'd love to know that's how you connected with me because that way I can kind of, I don't know, just be friendly. And I've got a ton of resources. Even if you just want to watch a crazy video with me, I'm down to support, encourage, and hear what kind of cool stuff you're pushing your limits on. I'd love to know.
I really love that. Jason, when I heard you speak on stage and you came out on stage and you busted a fat move, I was like, yes, go Jason. In front of all these dance studio owners, you busted it.
Hey, I was a dance teacher, so I
Yeah.
feel you. I'm not afraid to show off every once in a while, even if my showing off is very poor. I'll do it anytime.
It was
anytime,
good. It
anywhere.
was good. But you have this amazing energy. Talk to me
Thanks.
about the energy that you see. Like, I believe energy is our highest currency.
Yeah.
It's what shows up for us. It's how people experience us. It's, you know, how life comes. Talk to me about how you define energy and what you notice in people and their energy shift after they've made a big freaking change.
What I would say is I'm working on a book right now called Energy on Demand, how to have all the energy you want in an unlimited quantity anytime you want on demand. And the idea of energy is like, I think people, yes, they make snap judgments on your look, your vibe, your teeth, all those things are super important, but they feel your energy before they see they feel your energy before they see your face. And even if you're like, I have been in a room, you ever walked in a room before and you feel something's different and you don't know what it is. And then you see that there's a person in the room, you're like, oh my gosh, a celebrity's here. Or that there's that person I've been meaning to talk to or whatever. People can actually sense energy way more than they thought they did, not to get all weird on you. But like energy is one of those things that you perceive when you're around people. And I just know that if I'm intentional about creating the energy that I want, in the perception I want other people to have, they'll feel it and experience it. And yes, that comes from encouragement. Yes, it comes from all those things, but turning your energy and becoming conscious of the energy you project and put out around you at all times is the single greatest thing that I could ever teach somebody to do. And I learned that in sales and in business. I used to have a mirror on my desk when I used to make cold calls for a living. And they were like, people can tell if you're smiling on the phone. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
And they're like, no, they can tell if you're smiling on the phone. So I was literally like, hi, I'm Jason, right? Like, and you're like, wow, this guy's a psychopath. But like, it really turned me into being on the phone and being like, hey, it's Jason versus like, hey, it's Jason. Like if I'm smiling, you feel it. And so all of those things, I am constantly looking for this 1% energy tweaks inside my life that allow me to shift my energy quickly. And your ability to shift your energy helps you to change your life, change others, and encourage others to look for change as a constant by controlling your energy.
That's amazing.
Helpful.
Thank you so much, Jason, for being on our show.
Heck yeah. Thanks for having me on.
Yes. And to all of our listeners, remember to step outside your comfort zone, challenge yourself, embrace the fear, feel your energy change, and be of service to others. Have a great day, everyone. Bye for now.
We hope you enjoyed this episode and would be so grateful if you could share it with someone else that could benefit from it. Let's remember to change our relationship to change itself and take aligned action. If we want to make meaningful changes in our lives, we need to embrace stepping into the next version of ourselves in the process. Remember, stop waiting to feel ready and start taking action today.